Hey everyone, just quickly, before we jump into the episode, we just want to say, could you please double check you've hit that subscribe button, because it is the best way of supporting the show.
And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that bell icon as well, so YouTube will notify you when we have our new episodes out every week.
Otherwise, let's jump in.
Hello everyone, welcome back to NeuroNotes. I'm Kenzo, this is Sam, we're the physiotherapists behind PhysiKits, and this is our podcast where we like to share information about neurological physiotherapy for people driven to learn more. Now, exciting news, we've just started on our YouTube channel, we've created the community page, and we've just launched a poll a few days ago, and we're asking what topic will be next, and we have 6 votes come through. Majority has gone to the question, how can I make exercises fun? So yes. Rehab exercises, that's today's topic.
I was excited, that was my pick.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for backing a very fun question for us today.
I was going for the other one, so those supporters on the other one, don't worry, it's coming next for different kinds of exercises. But yes, so today we're covering how can I make rehab exercises fun? And the reason being is we actually see so many times in our face-to-face physiotherapy work that one of the biggest barriers to overall improvement in physio is just people's adherence to exercises, being able to complete them at home, not having direction, just not getting the actual overall work volume in. And it's such an important thing. So that's what we're covering.
This question came specifically from someone from our community. So we won't name drop anyone here, but you know who you are. Thank you so much for the question. And it's the reason where it came from, was they were just struggling because it was just boring. They just couldn't find a way of making it enjoyable or fun. And that technically is a huge part of our job, is teaching people how to make it enjoyable so they do it long term. So thank you for the great question. This is one of my favorite areas to cover. Yeah,
it's going to be a fun one today. Honestly as well, it's such a common struggle, even as physios. I won't mention who, but it's so common. I have friends in physio, and one of them broke her ankle many years ago, and she's a really, really great physio, but I just remember it being really funny when she was telling us over lunch that she'd been given these ankle rehab exercises and it had been a few weeks and just hadn't done anything. And I don't know, it's just a human condition sometimes.
I think that is a pretty common story across a lot of physios. They never do things to look after themselves. But again, it's the thing of you're telling people to do it all day. The hardest thing is then to go and do your own. And the annoying part is typically physios know exactly the consequences of not doing it. And it still sometimes isn't enough to motivate them to do what they typically should do for a rehab routine.
100%. Even myself, I injured my shoulder doing a pretty heavy dip exercise, and got the dreaded rotator cuff injury. Knew what I had to do all these little rehab exercises, doing the warm-ups, but like many, it just felt so boring. And so, but I knew I have little tricks and tricks that we'll end up talking about later, but ended up getting into the routine and finally got done, and lo and behold, it worked. So.
I love little habits. I love optimizing and tracking and accountability. So there's lots of little things that I include in my daily life that I think are such fantastic rehab tools that are commonly not used as part of a physiotherapy scope of practice, but they're the thing that underpins whether or not you're going to be successful or not. So I can't wait to jump into some of the stuff today.
All the supporting tips and tricks. So I think a good way to start actually is probably to cover what the main barriers are to exercise adherence. Adherence being actually just keeping up with the workload and actually doing the foundational work that's needed. I think we've mentioned before that exercise is, you can kind of see it as a bit of a medication. So it's all about dosage. So you can give it out an exercise, but if people only do it once every few weeks, it's not going to do everything. It's if you're given a regular medication for, say, multiple sclerosis, but you didn't keep up with the actual dosage schedule, it's not going to work. And the same thing happens with rehab exercises. And what underpins that is actually just adherence. And so to list off a few of the common barriers, we've talked about boredom being one of them. And I think that's just such a common one, hey?
Yeah, I mean, some of the best exercises are the most functional. Sometimes they can feel pretty boring, like doing 1,000 repetitions of sit and stands. sometimes there's not that many ways to jazz up doing the same movement over and over again. But finding ways of achieving that repetition is where you unlock all of the gains and you essentially align your rehab up with all the recommendations of all the best research papers out there.
100%, 100%. I think once we've gone through all the different barriers, we'll start to tackle our tips that address them all. But yeah, it's I'd say that's one of the hugest ones that people struggle with.
The first one I'd like to talk about is the classic one. We deal with it every day. We've only got 24 hours of it. It's time.
Yep.
We spend a lot of it sleeping,
Yep.
a lot of it messing around doing not all that much. There's not that much time left over for things that are more important to us. So I think it's the perfect one to break down first.
Yeah.
Because it is the most common that I get told is the issue. People, they come across that stops them from doing something.
I agree, definitely the most common. So many things, especially into like adult life, it's just things take up a lot of your time, like be it job, got to bring in money to pay the bills, obviously, takes a huge amount of time, huge amount of commitment, huge amount of energy, which is another one we'll get to later. And then people who have kids too. Just big commitment looking after and raising the kids.
Yeah.
Or even just having like a lot of pets too.
Yeah.
Same kind of deal.
Yeah. Work.
Yeah.
Like again, people vary how much hours they do a week, but there's the time load of work. There's the mental and physical load of work too.
100%.
Like some people have jobs where they're using their brain all day, and like they get home and they don't want to think about anything at all.
Yeah.
Some people are out doing more laborious jobs where they get home and they physically don't want to move anymore because they know they need the energy for the work again the next day.
Yep, 100%.
And then there's the jobs where you've got huge hours where, you're leaving home early in the morning, getting home late at night, and you're expected you're going to rock up and do that again tomorrow.
Yep.
So you need the time to switch off in there.
Yeah. Actually, even shift work too, like sort of people who work night shifts, or even worse, like fluctuating shifts where some days are day shifts, some are night shifts, and it fluctuates through the week or week to week, and it's so hard to get a consistent routine in. It's work's a big one.
And then when looking at work, we won't dive in too much to fatigue today, but then looking at monitoring someone's energy levels to balance out all these other commitments that are taking up their time.
Yep.
Like for some people, they might be so busy that putting anything extra on top of that is actually overcooking them a little bit too much because their fatigue is already set in. So sometimes it's about how do we find, instead of trying to find ways to use our time, finding ways to free up little windows of time to get a bit more you time.
Absolutely. Sort of changing how you view that commitment of exercise and like how it slots into your routine. Doesn't always have to be a big block that has to fit somewhere. You can sort of have it little nestled in between your other commitments. This can sometimes work, but we'll cover all those. I'd say maybe the second one that I see the most, related a bit to boredom, is just overall motivation. So people saying like, okay, I know it's important, I have this time in the week, but it comes to that time and I just struggle to actually have the drive to do it. Just don't feel like it in the moment. Or I felt like it one day, but I was busy, and then came up later on. So often I hear as well, like people the night before, they'll be like, oh yeah, no, I'm so driven at this, like I'm going to bed, I know I have my big workout tomorrow, pumped to do it, committed to it, come next day, motivation's dropped off. Happens all the time, yeah.
Especially in those first 2 hours of the day when you're feeling half asleep. You're still a bit tired from the day before. And you're trying to get yourself going. Oh my goodness, it's like you're a different person.
Sometimes, honestly, you go to bed full of energy, wake up, they're like, it's all gone. I know that too well as well.
Being so excited for the next day that you can't get to sleep. But then you wake up, not enough sleep that you can't get yourself going.
Exactly, it's hard. It's all, excuse the voice. It's all a balancing act, really. Yeah.
Well, I think tying that in, again, and then looking at it as a barrier first, sometimes, like I said before, sometimes these things are just boring. Like sometimes they're not that fun. Then there's not that many ways to dress up.
There's no way around it.
an ugly exercise. There's only so many little tips and tricks you can do. So finding ways of changing it from being, this is boring, I don't want to do it, to, oh, I see the value in this thing even though it's boring. That's a barrier. Some people really struggle with that skill.
Honestly, just to flag it for later, but one big topic we'll cover is just, like Sam said, there's sometimes no way around it, and you just have to change your perspective on it. So the perspective shift makes a big difference sometimes. But there are certain ways to go about that. I think another big one is just people having lack of direction. So like one thing I'll hear consistently is that people are like, they don't know where to start. They have started, but they're just seeing inconsistent results and they're not sure like how to progress, or maybe things aren't going well. They've got a bit of a niggle. They don't know how to drop it back down, to sort of rehab it while still not losing progress. A lot of different ways that can come up, I find. Yeah.
And like not knowing exactly how much to do.
Yes.
And like not being given super specific, clear instructions can sometimes be just enough of a barrier. Someone's like, I don't know what to do. I won't do it.
Yes.
Whereas, and again, it really depends on people's personality types. Some people don't want any constricting guidelines at all. They want a little bit of flexibility and freedom.
Yeah.
But some people thrive off being told exactly what to do. There's no confusion. They know what's a success or a failure of a session.
Yeah.
Because they know they can almost like go through a checkbox manner of like marking off saying, I've done exactly what I was supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I forgot the exact phrase, but there's something where like it's a known phenomenon where if there's too many unknowns, even if really doing anything is better than nothing, people get sort of paralyzed in that state of being like, I don't know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
So like the physio might have told them like, I need you to do sit to stand, but they left out how many reps and how many sets as a prescription. And so they'd be like, well, I don't know if doing 5's enough, so I just won't do anything.
Here's one that's a little bit counterintuitive, but I think I would give myself a golden rule. Oh, maybe we save it for later. I'll say the barrier first and my strategy for later.
Yeah.
Too many exercises. Oh my goodness.
Big one.
The problem is pretty much always being given too much stuff to do. It's never too little stuff to do. And then, of course, it's overwhelming. Your ongoing little list of physio exercises grows from what starts off as 2 or 3, ends up being 10.
Yep.
And you're like, well, this is going to take me an hour and a half to get through.
Exactly.
And then, so anyway, I could rant about this all day.
Yeah.
I won't.
Yep.
But I'll preface the golden rule of 2.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
For the people that really can show me they can do 2, they get a 3rd.
Yeah.
That's it.
Sometimes, honestly, there are some clients that I've had to start with 1.
Yeah.
Not even like 3 sets of whatever the number is for them, but like please just give me this 1 exercise. I don't care if it's just 2 reps. Just start that little bit. We won't get into it too much, but we're excited.
For most people, that like long list of even something like a handwritten list of 10 exercises that have like, sometimes have like specific numbers on them.
That the physio's given them.
Yeah, like burn it.
Yeah.
Write down your 2 favorite.
Yeah.
And nail them.
Actually, to extend on that too, like even some people I've seen, guilty of it myself too, like I like to plan people who are very, very self-driven. So I'll use myself an example there. Like if I'm planning out a new workout schedule, I have my goals set and I want to make sure it's as optimal as possible. And so I'll be like, here's my plan and here's all the structure of like to address each little thing that I'm working on.
Yeah.
All calculated. But then comes to it, it's too complicated for me to actually do. And then motivation becomes a problem, time becomes a problem, all these barriers then that we've mentioned all become a problem.
There's the barrier, over-optimization.
Over-optimization. Yeah, exactly. And so just bring it back to something that is not as optimal on paper, but is actually doable. It makes such a big difference.
Another one that I think people struggle with is like their results fluctuating quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like it can be a pretty big hit to your motivation to like have a certain result happen one week. You're like, wow, that was great. I did all these reps. I got this result in my time test. And I felt awesome. My energy was so much higher. Then the next week, they maybe achieved like 50% of what they did. Their timed test was nowhere near as good. Their energy levels were just flat and the week just sucked.
Yep.
And like that roller coaster of fluctuating results can sometimes make you feel like, oh, am I really going forwards or backwards?
Exactly.
And they can't really kind of have the zoomed out version of seeing like this slow, like upwards trend.
Yeah.
They just say and then they, of course, we know as humans, we notice negative things more than positive things.
Yeah.
As soon as you feel that little week down, you're like, oh my goodness, world's ending.
Exactly.
Done. Give it up on it all.
Yeah. Happens all too often. I think it is important to remember that progress is never ever a straight line. It's what we call a sawtooth pattern. So you're going to get this up and down good weeks, bad weeks, good weeks, bad weeks. But overall, like Sam was saying, if you zoom out, the overall trend, if you had it on a graph, is an upwards trajectory. And it's good to keep perspective in mind. I guess that's our first little trick, I suppose.
That's a little trick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we dive into them officially, though, I do want to mention like one other big barrier that I think is best covered in its own podcast episode in the future. But just to flag it, it's sort of fear and unknown about what to do. A bit different to lack of direction. But say they're not sure if they can exercise safely, particularly with neurological conditions. They don't know if they have the right equipment to get started. They don't know if they have the right kind of space. They don't have enough space, they feel. It's just too cramped. Or they feel like, yeah, safety-wise, they need someone with them to be able to do it. I think because that's all a big thing, we'll dive into it in a separate episode.
Yeah.
But actually, I do want to mention then on that note too, that the tips we're about to give here, they're applicable to everyone, but for the sake of just today, we're sort of keeping in mind people who can still exercise independently and safely, and they can stand up and mobilize without needing like support from someone else.
Yeah.
Just as a sort of safety disclaimer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fear is a tricky one because that needs its own strategies to work around.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it's a whole own episode to be
It's a big topic.
One more that comes to the top of my head is just having a good space. Like, and then some people think that you need a whole gym, you need a membership, you need either like a whole room's worth of space with a heap of different equipment. And I think that it's a huge limiting factor thinking I can't get going until I have this amazing resource. There is so much you can do with almost nothing. Yeah. And then, but again, people usually don't know that. Yeah. They so much of what you see online, in exercise programs from online content creators, they got all these funky bands. They got all these like little amazing machines that are set up, and so you're almost sold this way of using expensive equipment, or usually people are trying to sell you stuff online. Yeah. Like the gym memberships, like all these little rehab tools.
Oh, don't get me started on like stroke specific equipment. Like this will cure your stroke. And you just have to do this specific exercise with this specific equipment. You can't do any other way. Some things have their place, of course, but it gets a bit too marketing.
Yeah, never underestimate the power of the marketing machine. You just remember, there is millions and billions of dollars going into that every single day to try and convince you to buy things, and it's very, very good at making it feel like it's not convincing you to buy something.
Yeah, exactly.
So yes.
By the same token, don't underestimate what you can do with minimal stuff. It's what we're all about at PhysiKits. So
that's what we're marketing.
That's our marketing. But yes, I would say like we'll probably call that topic something like how can I exercise safely at home, or something like that with minimal equipment. Yeah. But stay tuned for that one. Yeah. But then I guess to dive into the next step is then how can we start to address these barriers, and how can I be consistent with my exercises at home? So this is our favorite part, the part we've been waiting for. I think one thing I'd like to just start with as an overall point is that there are differences between what we call structured exercise and unstructured exercise. So some people are just very generally active in their everyday lifestyle. They have their hobbies that may be active, they have a sport they like to play, and that is one of the best ways to just boost your overall health. I think the World Health Organization recommends something like 150 to 300 minutes of moderate exercise per week for an adult, and that's where a lot of health benefits come from. And of course, that's what we recommend. So if you find a hobby that's active, that's a good way to actually just integrate exercise into your lifestyle. But that's not exactly what we're talking about, because that's unstructured. If you have an impairment or people with an injury or anything that requires physio rehab, then what you're using to address that is something called structured exercise, and that's what tends to be boring. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about, trying to get those into your routine to actually get the benefits that address your problems specifically.
Yeah. So I guess people probably want to know, how many minutes is that a week?
Oh, good point.
Do you think? I'm trying to calculate it in my head.
My maths is really bad as well.
I'm coming up short.
Yeah. I think people can, just off the cuff, it's hard on camera, but people can do the calculations at home. I think it equates roughly to about 3 or 4 hours per week.
I was trying to divide 150 by 7, and then I was getting nowhere.
Yeah. us physios aren't exactly known for mathematical prowess, unfortunately.
Terrible with numbers. Do not ask me maths-related questions because they are not my strong suit.
Like, even if you do research, it's all like on calculators and like software these days.
Memorizing science-based things, much better.
Agreed.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I let the statisticians do the data. But no, I think it's around 3 to 4 hours per week. And that's, of course, the unstructured stuff, which in this case, the World Health Organization is referring to just like play, fun, activity, overall health and well-being. That all comes under that. Like, that's what you need for overall health is what's recommended. But yeah, structured is something different. I'll let Sam explain what that means.
So structured essentially is something where it has like a specific goal and there's a really particular way of achieving it. So something like that's where we're going to focus on structured exercises today. So a good way to think about it is you have a goal for your, let's say, MS, your stroke rehab, you're maintaining your walking for Parkinson's. That's a really specific goal, and we take a structured approach to get there. Where then on the other hand, we have unstructured exercise options, which are things like I don't know, like playing soccer with your friends in the park, just a bit more like general activity, going for a walk with your friend, things which don't have like their end goal is something else. It's like having fun or like staying fit or winning the game.
Yeah.
So like yes, even though some of those things might be a structured event, they're not really any like structured exercise towards a particular goal.
Exactly. And so I think as a bit of a I guess sort of a warning to people is that I sometimes see, I'll have clients that say like, look, I'm doing all this sport during the week, or I like to go on my walks every day. I don't really need to worry about rehab exercises, right? And in an ideal world, that'd be great, but unfortunately it doesn't work that way. And it's really important to still be able to work towards your specific needs based on your condition or your injury, etc. And that's what we're going to be talking. It's harder to do because it's more boring, it's more rehabby. It doesn't fit into your hobbies that are much easier to fit in and stay consistent with. And so all the tips and tricks that we're going to be bringing up, more so working on how to increase your structured exercise.
Yeah. But in saying that, unstructured exercises do give you some incredible perks.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And I think one thing, we won't touch on too much today, but if you are at a level where you have a type of unstructured activity like soccer, football, hockey, walking with your friends, badminton, any kind of like wheelchair sports that you love, oh my goodness, they give so many pros, and they almost inbuild so many of the positive things and the tips and tricks that we'll talk about later straight into it. So because they just give some really fantastic direction. They put you in a group with all people working towards the same thing, and there's almost this like common cause that you can like piggyback on your own goals into this like built-in structure and system. So if you're at a level and you have something that you love, that is a fantastic thing to keep up or even start.
And I'd even actually say like if you're completely sedentary, so you don't have any kind of structured or unstructured exercise in your routine, finding something unstructured first is probably the best way to start. Just overall bang for your buck, finding like an active hobby, as simple as just going for a little bit of a stroll consistently down to the park every day, is the best way to get started. And from there you can sort of piggyback on and start to add more, rather than worrying about just rehab first.
Yeah.
And actually, as one more little aside, when it comes to trying to get your structured exercise in, I think an important factor is your overall energy levels. And so, of course, I mentioned like work being a big factor as well, but obviously your amount of unstructured exercise to the already doing plays an impact on how much energy reserves you have left. So it's good to keep all this balance in mind. And as another little plug, we'll have a future episode covering fatigue specifically and like how you can balance your energy. But as an overall thing to keep in mind, there's basically just a set amount of energy that you can conceptualize having every day. Different activities, work, different commitments like kids, different exercise routines you already have in place like sports are all going to take away from your overall energy pool. And so some days you might have more energy left over based on having less of a busy day. Some days you might have more. And it fluctuates every day as well.
That is one thing about unstructured exercise. It's typically because it's going to roll on no matter what, and the demand that it's going to place on you is typically always going to be relatively the same. you kind of know that if you're committing to it, you're committing to this long term. I'm always going to have to give this level of energy to this thing each week or each day or so forth. So being aware of that sometimes those commitments are longer term, and sometimes fatigue and pacing is so important and needs to fluctuate. That being aware of that and even building that into whatever unstructured thing you're doing can be really helpful from the outset.
100%. I think that's actually a great segue to probably one of the biggest tips to even to start with consistency is having a goal. And so prioritizing is part of that. So figuring out like what am I trying to work on? Of course, you, for an example, someone with a stroke might have a weak arm, and they might start by thinking like, my goal is to make this arm more usable. But I think a really good way to make a goal a bit more specific to daily life is to pick something activity related. So what would I want that arm to actually be doing? Like, what am I struggling with? Do I want to be able to open the fridge with that arm? Or even further, is there like an activity that I'm trying to get back to, like a sport that I want to play using that arm? Finding something meaningful to you and making that a goal is just a really good starting point.
I mean, you can expand on that so much too. I think that activity goals are everyone should pick one. But they should pick one, but they can tie that into something that they love and that they're really excited to do further down the track. So one thing I try and get people to do, if we have any mobility related goals and they're like traveling, pick out the next place on their bucket list, print out a picture. We can almost look at the map, get an idea of how much walking, like how much time we need, how much energy reserves we need to be able to map out the perfect day, the perfect holiday. And almost like get someone to plan out the perfect week, let's say walking around Budapest, and then come back and be like, this is my goal. In 6 to 12 months time, I'm booking my tickets to Budapest. I'm like, oh my goodness, absolutely. We can see exactly what we have to work on. Distance, time, energy, climates, busy streets, stairs. We can recreate monuments I want to visit and like, make them in our rehab. So there's the power of motivation from an activity goal is also something that you desperately want to do is massive, absolutely massive.
I love that one. That's a great tip. You're going to see just all the way from the outset the amount of like those barriers that fall out of that are already being addressed, like the specifics. You have a direction, you have the amount of motivation because it's a thing you love and you want to achieve. It just all sort of falls out of just having a goal from the get-go.
Yeah. And then it also gives us the chance to identify any barriers that pop up along the way, and we can figure them out as we go.
100%. Yeah. And so I guess the next thing as a big sort of category is just making those structured exercises fun. So say you have a goal in place, you're working on it, but still you're finding it a bit boring. How can we boost the enjoyment? Do you have any go-to ideas there?
I love having fun.
Say you're not Sam King and you just don't enjoy exercise. How would you get started?
I would find something that I really care about. If I didn't like exercise and like I found doing exercise is just a nightmare. Like I just dread it every day, and it would feel like it was like taking away from other things that I care about. I would pick out my favorite thing, and that can vary for everybody, and just have that as like a little reward, and be like, great, if I just tick off if I can work through the things I say that I want to do, then I get this thing that is completely unrelated to exercise, but I almost like unlock this thing of mine that it's an absolute favorite.
Kind of like you've set yourself, like you get a little reward for yourself. Yeah.
So a really specific example is I love collecting things. I'm just, I don't know, it just matches up personally with what I love to do. And again, collecting things costs money, and you can spend so much time finding little things that you love. But I try my best not to spend too much time or money on them. But I just find it so much fun. Like the process of finding little things that you want, value of finding the best prices. Like it excites me so much more than so many other things. So, and of course that doesn't bring me that much. It just means I'm spending more money on things I don't need, which is not all that much of a positive.
Got to make life fun though.
Got to make life fun. But on weeks when I'm not really feeling all that motivated to do really anything, I know that if I want to be able to, spend the time and money on things that I find fun, I have to do all these things that are really important to the rest of my normal life. So things like working out, like good sleep, eating well, I don't know, being at things on time, being in bed at the right time. Like I always try and pick just 5 things. But if I can like go through, I specifically have like a little table that I kind of have printed out for the month. And so each day there's a little tick box column for the 5 boxes. And then for the month, if I score over 80% of all my little tick boxes, then I unlock a certain amount of money that I get to use on whatever I want. And if I don't, I have to transfer it straight to my like investings or my my house deposit, which is way less fun.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. Genuinely curious, like, for your little check boxes, do you have like a specific, how specific do you get with the numbers? Is it like I need to get this number of like sets done for an exercise, or just do my workout tick?
I've loved habits and optimization for years, and I've had the most complex systems and the most simple systems. And it is now, I almost restrict each habit to like 5 words. As soon as it gets too long, and it just becomes almost like a bit of, I don't know, it becomes a bit more laborious. But again, I've done this for ages, so I kind of know when I'm achieving something, because like these 5 words are so black or white that like it's like a yes or a no check. It's like 9:30 before or after, or like Anyway, there's so many things you could dive into there.
I think that's clever though, just like taking out some of that like overload and just making it simple. Yeah, simple check boxes.
Because then literally it takes me like it might take a little bit of time each on the last Sunday of each month to go through and make it for the next month. But each day I literally do it just before I go to bed. And then for a while I made the checkbox was just like tick this table each day before I go to bed. And it turned out to be that formed the habit very quickly.
That's awesome, man.
And then it takes me like literally maybe like 10 seconds just to go through and check. And then the pain of getting like 70 or 75% being like,
Yeah, I get you. The heartbreak.
The heartbreak. But it's got me very good at some very important habits to me now. So
so obviously gives you that sort of heartache if you don't make it, but does it also make it fun when you
Oh my
get
goodness,
those tick
it
boxes?
feels like I've earned every single thing that I get.
Nice.
So it makes me love it so much more.
Yeah. That's really good.
Yeah, it's because sometimes I think you can get, especially with money is just something where your spending can kind of get away from you. And then it's not even about buying what you wanted, it's just more about fulfilling the want to buy something. So I just kind of try my best to work my way around it and feel like instead of just buying something for the sake of it, like I've earned something. And then a little like money trick in my head has just made, has paid huge dividends in parts of my life so far. So
I can imagine for other people, like they could apply the exact same idea to maybe like a travel budget. Like if they have a trip coming up.
Exactly.
Yeah, set away, if you get all your exercise things done or other healthy lifestyle factors, just like tick, bit of money goes towards my travel fund.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it doesn't have to be money things either. So because I think money's great because it's like a very particular detail. It gives you such great objective.
Easily trackable.
Yeah, very, very trackable. And like you can set really specific numbers. It's like what you're working towards.
Yeah.
But other things that I've got other clients that they love gaming. Like they're one of their biggest things is just literally just chilling out, doing absolutely nothing, like phone away for like hours at a day, and just like literally just sitting on their console just gaming. So another really handy thing that we've got for another client specifically is they have, for each time they tick off their session, that's 1 hour of guilt-free,
sacred gaming.
Yeah, sacred gaming time.
Perfect.
And so you could imagine getting like 1 or 2 sessions in a day, to then get to Saturday and being like, I've earned like doing 8 hours of absolutely nothing for my whole day, and there's nothing anyone can say or do to stop me. And like that, it's like, and it has become like this like little like it changed something where it went from having to do the exercise just because to having to do it to get this thing that they already love. And then it goes from like, you know, just gaming for the sake of it to like, no, I've absolutely earned this. And like getting told by, you know, a partner or yourself, like, oh, I should do chores. No,
Yeah,
absolutely not. This is my,
I've earned it.
I've earned this. This is my golden time and ain't no one taking it away from me.
Yeah, I think even with like something physical too, you could apply the same thing. So like even maybe food, if there's something that you know you shouldn't be eating too much of and you're trying to diet anyway, but you still want to have it in your life in some way, maybe making it a reward like that is another way. Like maybe love KFC or something and you're like, oh, I only get KFC if I've done my exercise for the week and I've earned it.
Yes. For those international listeners, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah, I don't think it's an Aussie thing. I'm pretty sure it's I think it comes, Kentucky, of course, comes from America.
Oh, I don't know.
We've got Red Rooster over here.
Yeah, I've actually haven't ever had KFC.
Really?
Oh, I can't.
Wow.
I'm allergic to every single thing.
Yeah, the bread, the breading.
Except the coleslaw.
Yeah. That's a sad life, my friend.
That's okay.
No, I can't say it's that. I'm not a fast food person myself, so I can't say it's that worth it. But first thing that came to mind for some reason, the advertising got me.
There's something about the smell.
Yeah.
Though, of like
whatever herbs and spices it is.
I can see when you see the TV.
Yeah.
You can just you can smell that burger. You just know. Even I've never eaten it. I know exactly what it's gonna smell like.
I might get cancelled this, but it's never as crunchy as it looks. I swear, it looks so crunchy. Every time I've had it, which is not that many times, so it's been like soggy and disappointing.
There you go.
Korean fried chicken, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
I would say I've had something similar to your planner, but I like numbers. This gets kind of nerdy, but I do like exercise and I like numbers. So something I like to do is I print out my exercise plan. I have this like little planner thing that I print out, and all it has is my like exercises written out for my workout schedule, and basically I have my weeks planned, and I just slot in a day when I can in the week. And as I do my exercises, I write down the date that I did it. I write down the how many sets and reps I did for that exercise. So say I did 3 sets that day, and then I write down how many reps I got for each one. So let's say I'm doing like my pull-ups or something. Maybe the first set's 10, then 9, then 8. And then I've recorded that for that session. And then as I go on, so that I have about 7 weeks, I think, across my one piece of printed paper. And then I can see over the sessions how my numbers are tracking. And I just find it very rewarding to watch those numbers go up over time. And I get to see if I have a dip, how it recovers as well. So it helps to address those barriers that we were talking about earlier. It's sort of keeping track of my progress, so I can sort of minimize if I'm not feeling great that week, I can write at the top, felt a bit off, see the numbers dip, have an explanation, watch it the next week, bounce back up, and I'm like, oh, I'm back on track. I'm going okay.
Yeah.
And then it ends up being sort of a self-fulfilling reward system as well, where watching those numbers go up, makes Kenzo happy. And so I just stay stuck to it. And I know I'm on track for my goal, whatever it is.
I can then also imagine at the time in the session, you know exactly what you got last time. You're like, oh, I feel pretty good. I got 8 last time. I want 9.
100%.
To push through that last bit of fatigue and tiredness to hunt down that 9th rep.
Big time, big time. So I can be mid-set. I'll be in my head oh, got to my set of 10 last week. I'm at 10 again. I know I'm tired. I would usually probably stop here, but I really want to get past it, grind through that 11th one. And yeah, that's actually where a lot of the benefits are made when it comes to exercise. And so, yeah.
Then one specific question on your system. Do you have any way, let's say, for example, for our listeners at home, they might be listening thinking this, oh, but sometimes I know at the beginning of the week, I'm not feeling as good as I was the other weeks. Any suggestions for modifying what your week is going to look like if you know you're not feeling and in his tip-top form?
If I'm feeling sick or have an injury.
Yeah, exactly. So you kind of plan out from the very beginning on a week when you know you're I don't have much time, I don't have much energy, I have a really stressful thing going on this week.
Yeah.
Any way of taking the pressure off from the very beginning?
100%. So there are these things called deloads. So what I do for my training structure at least is I basically just pull back some sort of volume. So volume being is the amount of work you're doing. I'll either reduce the weight that I'm doing, do the same number of sets and reps. I'll reduce the sets and reps themselves, keep the weight up high and drop it down that way. But overall, I'm doing a third of what I'd be usually doing.
Yeah.
So say I usually have heavy sets of pull-ups for 3 sets and they're around 10-ish reps. I might just drop all the weight, just do my own body weight, maybe just for 1 set. And so I've like ticked off at least that I'm maintaining progress. I'm not going to lose too much, but I'm not overexerting myself and like digging into my energy reserves too much either.
So maybe if we could put that into context for our listeners at home, because again, not many people can do as many heavy body weight exercises. You are a beast in the gym. I consider myself relatively strong. And then when me and Kenzo trained together, he ate me for breakfast.
Only when it comes to some things, like Sam's leg days, I struggle.
But so to put that into context,
it basically applies to anything. So if you keep the like 1/3 idea in mind, so like say you're doing sit to stand exercises, or even like something simple for like stroke rehab, like wrist extensions or something, but you just whatever takes like a ton of energy. So you're like, I normally am doing, for simple math's sake, I usually do 3 sets of 10 sit to stands. I'm just feeling really off this week. If you're using something like my tracker, I would write at the top, off week, feeling sluggish, unwell, whatever it is, stressful week, etc. And then just do like 3 sets of 5, maybe.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of like numbers being relatively divisible by themselves. So for all of my exercising, they're always even numbers, and I will aim for like things that can be divided by 5 or 10 as much as possible, so that I can almost like divide it by 2 like instantly.
Because
exactly, because my deload week rule, whenever I see that I've got a hectic week coming, I kind of be like, great, exercising is going to be the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th priority. If there's no time for it, I will scrap the whole thing, because I know that will help me the next week to be able to kind of pick back up where I left off, and I don't feel negative for not doing something. Because usually I need a break more than I need to do more. But then for other people, if they kind of see that coming, they can be like, great, I'm going to set myself the mission of I'm doing 50% of everything I normally do. If I do an hour, I'm doing a 30-minute walk each day. If I normally do 100 repetitions, I'm just doing 50. Like bring the bar down early on to know that you're not breaking a habit, you're not going backwards. You are absolutely maintaining yourself through a crazy period, and you just by sticking in the game, you're improving your results massively at the end.
100%. To ease people's anxieties at home as well, for those like really driven people who are like, oh, but if I miss a week, I'm going to go back, lose a lot of progress. It's actually like surprisingly easy to maintain progress. I don't remember the exact numbers again, but there was a big study that came out. I think it's like 1/10 of the volume maintains your progress. So like, don't stress if you're going down by 50% for a week. It's not going to make a dent. In fact, if you push through and you overexert yourself during a week, you'd probably find that you end up setting yourself back even more because you've burnt out, or you've caused an injury, or something else. Something's going to break the camel's back. Whereas pulling back for a little while, maintaining your routine, like you said, is probably like much more important in the long run.
A week is never worth your year.
Yes, even a month.
Yeah.
If you need a month, take it easy, but still maintaining a little bit of consistency is
one thing I heard the other day, which I really, really liked, was don't miss 2 days in a row. And so even if it's just like 1/10 of something, like even when because I've, not recently, but a while ago I was unwell. And like I was in a point where I was loving my gym, like I'm just loving the strength training side of it. And then, but I feel like when I was sick, I would always try and keep training, and it would always make me worse. It would just like prolong like how long I have to take off work for like 3 days. And like, because even though when I'm in full health, it doesn't feel like it knocks me down that much. It's still a huge toll of energy on the body. So when you're already operating on like 10% of your normal energy, it wipes me out.
100%, yeah.
And so I just kind of set myself a goal of, okay, I'm going to take 1 day off. The next day, I'm just going to go do 1 exercise for, so 1 set of each of my exercises. So it took me maybe 10, 15 minutes at best, dropped the weights down by half, walked out of there. It was like, done. I didn't achieve any gains, but I did strengthen the habit.
Big time. Neural circuit. Actually, to piggyback off that, I think a huge thing that I'd like to address is the timing. And so even if I'm using my workout plan as an example, it was too complicated, like I mentioned earlier. I've shrunk it down to just being like full body days. I won't dive into too much what that is, but basically there's something for my upper body, something for my legs that don't have to be done together. And so ideally it is a day that I'd like to fit into my routine somewhere. I used to say like I'm doing this upper body day on Monday, lower body day on Tuesday, etc. Then of course life gets in the way, work's busy, social commitments come up. Monday doesn't happen, so I end up skipping that day. And over the long term, I lost more progress. Whereas now what I do, there's no days named. I just, when a time slot pops up, I can factor it in. It's locked in, record my progress. And so I know the next day when a time pops up, next one's in line to be done. So I keep my overall schedule in line. And that works pretty well for me. I know some people prefer having structure of days to stay committed to. That's probably another topic we'll cover in a second. But for me, I've found it works better the other way around, where it's sort of flexible and I can work around my other commitments.
That's interesting. For me, I prefer flexible too.
Yeah.
And then I think especially in our line of work, we have to be pretty flexible. Like our days can chop and change so much.
Yeah.
And so like just the demands of the days can be so different from, huge days out with clients all day to days worth of, well, now video editing and like engaging with people online is, there's such different days.
Exactly.
Like, and so being able to be flexible is great.
Yeah.
So my way of being flexible, I found, has worked for our current work routine is knowing, okay, I've got, these 5 or 6 workouts I want to do. I have 7 days to do them, and like just like mixing around as to what I feel is like what I have energy for in the day.
Same. Yeah.
So it's like 3 of them are really hard and tough, and I save those for like, weekends or days when like I have no clients.
Yeah, the pacing piece.
Exactly, yeah. And then I've got 3 that I'm like, I know these are easier. They're also, they don't require as much intensity from me. So I mix and match those around with how I'm feeling on the day.
Yeah, that's exactly pretty much what I do too. So like the ones I write down are essentially, the ones I'm tracking are the bigger, more intense days that are specific to a goal. And actually just sort of tie in what you were saying, your question you asked me earlier about if a day's coming up or a week's coming up where I know I'm going to be a bit off, if it's, say, I'm still feeling okay, but it's a really busy week instead, what I'll do is like I'll break up the big day I'll do this one exercise from that one day in the morning. If that's all I get done, tick, progress locked in, habit maintained for that week. If it comes in the afternoon and I have the other half, I get the other half done. Otherwise, it's okay. I'll move on to that gets pushed back a little bit. Less volume. Even if it's like one set, progress locked in. If it comes up where I just like have a stretch of days in a row that I know I'm going to be like really tied down with commitments, I just sub in my like more relaxed flexibility routine work, something just to maintain a bit more of unstructured exercise. That's just to maintain the healthy habit, not fall back too much. And then the goal stuff is just on the back burner for a little while.
You mentioned habit there.
Big one.
So habit, again, it's a big integral part of today's episode. One thing I'd love to hear your thoughts on is habit stacking.
Yes. We love this as physios. I would say this is a technique that's really good for people who like routine, like structure, and struggle with motivation. Probably the big things that it works for. So what it basically means is you tie a habit you're trying to form into a habit that you already have. So a simple example, let's say someone has been prescribed or they've decided they want to introduce sit to stands as an exercise into their routine. They've tried just to like set a time per day, like maybe let's say like 3 p.m. on Wednesdays I'm going to be doing my sit to stands. Time comes, they don't do it, or something comes up. What they can try instead is think about in their daily life, what are you already doing that's consistent? Maybe you make your morning coffee every single day like clockwork. What you can decide then is when I turn my kettle on, I know that's going to happen. I know when that happens, as it's boiling, I'm going to sit down, do my sit to stands. And it sort of is the brain's already clicked in to the habit of turning on the kettle, and you can sort of piggyback off that to get another habit going. And it's just the quirk of the brain where it's just so much easier that way.
Yeah. We'll try and not go too much into habits because I get the feeling we could yap about this the whole time.
Yeah.
So we'll try and keep moving as best as we can. But fantastic. I think we might have a few suggestions of some resources after this episode. But I'll quickly add in a book there, like Atomic Habits. I think a lot of people have heard about it. Not a lot of people have read it, but even if you're not really going to apply the things of what is in there, it's an amazing read. It's just an amazing read about like human psychology and like why we do some of the things that we do and how to make some things easier. So if you want to teach on habits, would have to argue that the author, what's his name, Cleary?
I don't remember. Sorry, we can put it in the description. Yeah.
I've lost it on top of my head. But Atomic Habits.
Famous book. Yeah, I'm bad with remembering names.
Yeah.
Same with studies. But yeah, like we'll put it in the description. But yeah, that's a great read. Yeah, the habit science is a whole like branch of psychology and like neuroscience. There's all these circuits in the brain that form around habits, and so you can. I don't like this word sometimes, but you can almost hack your brain. To like piggyback off just the way our brains work.
Yeah, to make things that you want to do easier.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but I'd say habit stacking, that's sort of the simple summarized way, is a good way to get something into your routine. And sort of, pick something you do consistently already, pick something you want to introduce, find a way to tie them together, and just pick a day or a few days in the week that you're going to make it happen. And it's easier to find the motivation to do it that way.
One barrier that a lot of people come across is like lack of direction.
Oh yeah.
Or like not really having anything to build a program around, or like.
Of course, like a lot of what was.
Yeah, lack of knowledge about what they should be doing and the best way to achieve it. So to improve consistency, we can almost look at a few particular, like the neurological rehab principles, and try and think about those to make consistency easier. I haven't explained that very well.
I think a lot of the tips we've been giving so far is assuming that people know what to do. Like we have our programs because we're physios. We're lucky we get to make our own. Sometimes we make it too complicated. But yes, like we have the knowledge to like plan a program, implement a program, progress and regress a program. Whereas I think people listening may not have that knowledge yet. Or for those that don't, it is a big barrier of like, where do I start? And trying not to be too much of a plug here, but that's exactly like why we've created like the PhysiKits program. So I think that's one way, is like getting tips from some sort of structured thing that is around, some structured resource that is around your problem. So like if you have MS, find an exercise program that is designed to target certain problems that you have related to your condition, or even better, specifically relating to you. And so that's where things get a bit more tailored. If you have a physiotherapist, they've given you some exercises that are tailored to you, and then you can apply all these strategies we're talking about to that program. But if you don't have a face-to-face person, then finding resources that are still specific. That was one principle, is having something that's specific and tying it into your routine that way.
I guess the next point is how to stay motivated. And the rehab journey can be quite long, and it can be quite a winding, twisting path because symptoms can vary. So motivation can absolutely fluctuate really quite heavily.
Yes, yeah, big time. I feel like one elephant in the room is that a lot of these strategies that we've been like talking about here, they do hinge on self-motivation and what I would call like the ability to delay gratification. So like even like your strategy of like putting away some money or putting aside something you really want to do, behind the barrier of doing things you don't want to do, you need to have that determination to not touch the things that you really want to do, but do this instead. And delay it.
It's a skill.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't view it as a skill.
Yes.
But I think if you can kind of change your mindset towards viewing it like a skill, it's something that you can be good at or bad at. Like skills are something where you can put time into and improve. And some people naturally have this skill built into them, which is fantastic. Some people don't. And I actually think it's important to note that if this is something that is unnatural to you and that you can kind of sit at home thinking, I can't do it. I physically cannot, delay gratification or push something back that I want. I just have to do it then and there at the time. I almost think that some of the things we're going to talk about next might actually come second to working on that first. So I actually think without that skill, some of these things might be too difficult to do.
I agree.
So potentially, if that is you and you think, oh my goodness, they've just pointed at me specifically and I feel, victimized by Sam and Kenzo, that's okay. Remember, it's not a skill people naturally have. Yep. Typically, some people, yes, but because they naturally have it, they work on it more.
Yeah. Like if you've listened to our previous point on like all these different ways to increase consistency, like I've tried all that, guys, like, I'm still struggling, then yes, it sounds like that's probably where you need to start, is like working on just the intrinsic psychological skill of delaying gratification. Yeah.
It is not easy.
No.
It is not easy, but I'd almost, once you finish this video, you could pause it here, but why not just keep listening? We're so entertaining. That trying to work on that skill first will give you so much more success than just trying to just like brute force your way through trying to enjoy something that you're just not enjoying or doing at all. So like there's some great books where they're specialists on these things to be able to teach about it. One of my absolute favorites, which I think is a book everybody should read, is a book called Grit by Angela Duckworth. And to summarize very quickly, it just kind of speaks to the difference of talent versus hard work. And like this, almost like this X factor of like why some people can be so successful at things that are really hard compared to other people. And essentially it's, I'm summarizing a lot of things here, but it's your capacity to stick in something that's hard with no outcome straight away.
And then they tend to have more long-term success, I imagine.
Yeah.
That does remind me. So I've read some research, or it's psychology research, but there are these big 5 personality traits, and one of them is something called, I believe, trait conscientiousness. And I know it sounds like something that's going to be interpersonal, but the way they've defined it is basically about your ability. It is basically ability to delay gratification and stay stuck to goals and structure, this kind of thing. And because it's a personality trait that is measurable, it is something that people just by birth or just by genetics have higher or lower scores in, just in a normal distribution where some people have really low, some people have really high, most people are somewhere in the middle of that like bell curve. Unfortunately, if you take that at complete face value, people who are low on that trait are probably going to struggle more with some of these tips that we've talked about. And so some of you probably listening to this just fall into that category, and that's just normal variation. I still really recommend giving it a proper crack to like give these things a go, make things as easy as possible first with some of the tips we've said, like keep it really, really simple, start with habit stacking with something really minimal as a goal, make it really simple. And if you still struggle, it might just be because of the quirks of your brain. We're all different after all. And I think in those cases, you're sort of probably a personality type that just really would benefit from having face-to-face extrinsic motivation for someone to like drive you on in that way.
And that's our job.
Yeah.
Like, and then we do that every day. Well, not every day, but so many days a week for people because it's effective. And you see it all the time, people who they've tried everything to try and motivate themselves. And they physically can't. And that is okay.
There's no shame.
There is absolutely no shame in that.
Yeah.
That's where, we end up helping out. And that's what we're here to do. But our mission here is trying to get people who want to try and learn to do things themselves, give them the tools from our perspective that we try and teach people to do to get them moving away from the model of relying on us to be able to do it themselves.
Exactly. And if we can, kind of shift that bell curve over to the side of people doing more stuff by themselves, or even if some people just aren't able to shift over, it opens up time for therapists to dedicate more time to these people that need the external motivation.
So there are other ways of building up some external accountability. I guess first though, we should probably break down between internal and external accountability.
Yeah.
So I'll just go over super quickly. So essentially, external accountability is from things outside of your own control. That's like Kenzo rocking up at my door saying, "You ready for work today, Sam?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I guess so." Whereas internal is your own decision to do something. So when Kenzo's not coming over, we're not recording, I've got to do lots of video editing. and I've got to motivate myself to do it because there's no Kenzo there. It's just me at home on that day.
And so I guess if you're trying to build up external accountability, you've got to find your own little Kenzo to just keep you motivated. But it doesn't have to be so like serious and like boss-like or anything like that, or business partnership. It can just be having a workout buddy.
Yeah.
So like having someone who ideally is close to your level, doesn't have to be though, but someone who you can plan your workouts around and be like, I need your help to do this, keep me motivated, makes it more fun, checks off some of those other barriers, and just keeps you accountable at a consistent time every week.
Yeah. And there's so many different types of people that can play that role. It can be a paid role. Like sometimes it's really handy just like having that trade of money for that particular service. Some people don't want a connection or relationship there. They just want someone to pay for accountability. Done. Once that session's over, there's not that kind of ongoing responsibility to that person. So, but then again, you can have, there's so many communities out there. You can form friendships and like, long-lasting groups of people stick together. Yeah. Doing this together.
Yeah. I think it's no wonder that like in our generation there's been this big rise in like run clubs. I think it's exactly like for that reason.
Yeah.
Like running, because run clubs have gone up, the amount of people running and doing marathons has also gone up. And it's because before that it was just people who liked it as a hobby. Now it's people who like the social aspect or have found it easier to stay consistent because of the club. And so, you can find or create something similar for your specific goals as well.
Yeah. One big one, which we have a lot of exposure to, because we have an online presence on quite a few different social media platforms, is there are some amazing social media accounts out there that are pretty much purely made for detailing someone's rehab journey. And I think there is some magical stuff out there of just, I think you don't have to have your face on it, you don't have to have any personal information on it. It can literally just, some people do it and they cover up their face, which I think is a pretty cool way of doing it, because there's something about like seeing that it's seeing a real human go through the journey. Like, yes, you don't know exactly who they are, but you can kind of see yourself in them, and you can see them trying and just, doing different things, posting on their story each day when they've gone and done their workout, or like their favorite part of it. Like just a highlight of their day, something they made that was different, that included some of the foods that they're trying to add to their diet because it helps with their symptoms. Like there's making a social media account almost gives you a way of telling your own journey and your story without putting your name or face to it. But it also can give you an element of external accountability, because there's other people on there who get used to your posts each day and want to see your posts or your updates. And then if you go a week without doing it, it's like, oh well, they the people who now comment, like all your stuff, and you build up these little relationships and understanding over time because they're going through the same journey. There's almost like it's a little bit of good pressure to be like, I kind of want to show up for these people. Like they're showing up for me, I get to watch them. I want to kind of give them the same energy back.
It's almost like they've those people are making like a video diary or a digital diary that they're sharing with the world. And then end up with their own little cheer support squad being like, loving your progress. That's a great way.
And the lived experience, like some people on social media accounts with lived experience, they blow up to be huge accounts, huge following, and they are such a positive influence over so many people's lives. Like I think, whereas we're building up something to try and educate and teach people from a science or physio point of view, the lived experience accounts have something that we don't have, which is just they feel so connected and supportive of someone else's journey who is just walking it, just maybe 10, 5, a couple of steps ahead of them. And that is something which is, is just so much more powerful because it's inspiring.
Absolutely. Yeah. Got to hear those journeys. I'd love to have some of them on one day and hear their experiences. So if you'd like to share with us, please reach out. Otherwise, stay tuned.
We've got a few things planned for the future, which is very exciting. There's space for 3 on the on our lovely physio table. We've got the setup in mind. So we can't wait to bring you some cool stuff. But some cool stories to come. One more.
Go for it.
Just off the top of my head. Just off the top of my head, because this is a big one for me sometimes when I really don't want to do something. like if there's like a show that I really want to watch, I'm like, great, you can watch the show if you do this thing at the same time. So like, again, it's habit stacking, not really in a positive way, but sometimes it's the only thing that helps me work through it. And like, yes, it might not be the best exercise session because like I'm half watching the highlight reel of the cricket match that just happened before, but I'm there, I've got to the space, I've continued the habit. And on a day when I otherwise wouldn't have went, I got to go do a half-assed workout, watch something that I wanted to at the same time, and then come back and be like, oh, at least it's done.
Yeah, for multitasking.
Yeah.
I'd say that's probably a really good one to like slot into those weeks when you just don't have the energy or you're feeling extra sluggish, but you do want to still maintain that habit. I would say just be careful not to fall back on that becoming your main and like only source of structure as well. Yeah, but great one to have in the back pocket. Yeah, for sure.
One more quickly off the top of my head that is flowing towards me, which we kind of covered but not really, just variation. Sometimes we said we have a few different variations of intensity. Sometimes I think people could benefit from just having just different workouts all together. Like some inside, some outside, some doing a completely different activity compared to what they normally do. Like, because if you get stuck in the same rut of routine and it gets boring, then you're probably less likely to continue with it.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah.
It's almost having, knowing that you're like, great, there's lots of things I like doing. If I'm getting bored of this, chop and change it up for a week. If like I want to go to a new place, do something different, just like even just going out doing like a different exercise class in a new place and just doing like buying a one-off, access to a different facility can be the ultimate thing to keep you in it for the long run.
Yeah, big time. That's a really good little tip.
Yeah.
Another one that came to my mind as well is if you have like an exercise space that you like to do your exercise in consistently, have that kept sort of like ready to go. So like once you've finished and you've like ticked off all your exercise for that day, pack it up in the way that you like to see it packed up so next time you come in, it's all ready to go. You're not like, oh, I have to clean up first, because that's such an easy way for the brain to then be like, no, if that's another task, delay.
Yeah, it just adds resistance.
Adds resistance, yeah.
Minimize that as much as possible.
Exactly. All that friction that you want to keep really low.
Which is, I reckon we would keep popping up little things like this on the top of our head all day. But I reckon this is probably a good point to close the episode.
I agree.
So can you give us a quick run through of like the core components of today?
Yeah. So essentially there are certain barriers to consistency that we always see. Things like time, things like motivation, energy, all these kinds of things. And there are certain strategies which we covered in the middle of this video, timestamp below, that help to address each of these, basically. But there is a common thing that a lot of these strategies share, and that's the ability to delay gratification. And it's a skill that we highly recommend trying, but it's worth keeping in mind that there is some like psychological research showing that it may just be a personality trait that's either genetic or just a quirk that certain people's brains have, since we're all unique. And certain people who have that certain trait are going to struggle with some of these tips, and that's okay. Recommend working on it, but if you still really struggle, then it's probably worth having external motivation from like a physio or a personal trainer or even just a gym buddy that helps to keep you motivated.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining, everybody. Now, subscribe on YouTube. It is the best way of supporting the show. Like, we put a lot of effort into these, and it just gives you the chance to keep up to date with all the videos we put out. Yeah. Because we've changed our system a little bit. We're aiming to put out one long form video each week, our usual episode. We're also trying to get out some highlight videos, which are just like bite-sized sections of the long ones. Because again, I think this is gonna be a long episode. I think this is gonna be well over an hour. So this is sometimes too long for people. Some people can't get enough of long form content. So this is what we make it for. Yeah. But for some people, they just want like a 5 to 15 minute video to watch in their lunch break. And we're trying to cater to that too. Yeah. So we get out maybe like 2 of those a week as well. So we have something for everybody, and subscribing keeps you in the loop to know exactly when they come out. Yep.
We've just uploaded the first of our new series called PhysiKits Explained as well, where we sort of dive a bit more into the science-heavy topics that need a bit more scripting and sort of production value on. and this one was on the nervous system breakdown between what we call the peripheral and central nervous system, and how it creates the sensory and movement motor pathways. So really proud of how it came together. I think
that was awesome.
I think it was great fun to make.
Love that.
Yeah. And they might come out every few months or so with a bit less of a consistent schedule. But for any of them, if you have any ideas for like PhysiKits Explained episodes or thoughts on today's episode or upcoming topics that you'd like to see, put them in the comments below. Or also we have our community tab where you can go in and comment.
Check out the polls.
Yes, we'll have lots of polls.
vote for my favourite options, please.
Yeah, maybe we'll put like who's
it who.
yeah, put it in the running. Yeah, a bit of friendly competition. But yeah, no, jump over. We might post other things like blog posts and things we've written up as well. So keep an eye on the community tab.
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.